is now part of our zone leadership group for membership engagement. He's assisting Bill Robson, our zone leader, with member engagement. It's so important right now. Members are feeling displaced and lonely, missing their hugs and all of them. And so Dan and Mary and Martin, this last weekend, they put together this program, and we're launching it all during this week and getting out to as many members as we possibly can. So I'm just going to turn it right over to Dan to run the show. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, thanks. So hi, Linda. I see you've joined in as well. That's awesome. What we're going to do is have a little bit of some rules here, and then we're going to go into a bit of a presentation. Gary, you're not going to hear anything new other than the ideas that are coming out of the other clubs that are on here, or in your ability to let everybody else know what Calgary West is up to. So this is really at your option. So it's not a new presentation that we're doing. So just so you're aware of that. So what we have found on these presentations as we've done them is that because the internet and everybody's using all their Wi-Fi bandwidth up and things are slow and choppy at times. So I'm going to ask everybody to take their video off. We'll bring it back on once we've done the presentation. And then Charlene will be working with you as she's going to mute everybody but me. And then we're going to go work through a bit of a presentation. And then at the end, we're going to have lots of time for dialogue. I'll get through what we need to talk about as quick as I can, and then lots of time for chat. So again, if you have something that comes up that's important that we need to respond to, Charlene will be watching the chats to make sure that everything's okay. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and first I'm going to stop my video. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Share. I need Charlene to tell me if we're good.
We are good.
Good. Okay. So here we go. So a lot of this that we're talking about now is going to be about how do we respond right now to this COVID-19 pandemic and maintaining our member engagement. But the reality is a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about now will probably be a lot of the tools and things that we'll be using at the end of the day. So the number one priority that we have, and I've got a list of priorities here, is our member health and well-being. That's the overriding priority for everything that we as leaders in our districts, our clubs, and as a member of Rotary, that has to be our number one priority right now. So the second area, if we understand what our member health is and what our member needs are, it's building healthy clubs out of that, and building how do we create healthy clubs. The other thing is, we know now there's lots of needs in the community. We're going to have a bit of a discussion on how we look at those, and then how as a Rotary can we be engaged in the community, and give you some communication strategies. And again, all this is being done in a manner that I believe, and we believe that today is the really important time for Rotary to show its relevance, not just to its members, but to the community that we're in, and that we're having an ability to have a major impact in our community today, right? And we want to see, we're going to have a lot of dialogue about how we do that and how we get ourselves moving forward. The biggest thing right now is that given this high uncertainty and amplified by self and physical isolation, that doesn't mean social isolation. So this is what we got to talk about. But with the self and physical isolations, a lot of our members have physical and mental health needs that need to be our priority. We need to be talking to our members, we need to be communicating with our members, and we need to be reaching out to them. And my question to all of us, all of you here, is do you know how your members are? And if you do, in our dialogue, I'm going to want each of you to provide us some ideas that you're doing successfully, and that you can move forward with, because this is so important. My philosophy right now is we have to make contact with every single member. And I've gone old school. Gary knows I've been contacting all our members to talk to them, to understand and hear what their needs are. And I can tell you, in a club of 80 members, I've had members in tears because of the fact that I called, the fact that we had some interaction, and it is critical right now that we reach out. And yes, we can use communication like Zoom to focus in on pods of members and meetings, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I want to say right now, and my philosophy, and I think all of ours, needs to be, email is a tool, but it does not replace talking to somebody. It does not replace that social interaction. And I've used the example earlier, that I did an email. I've got 40 employees, all wondering what the heck's going on. I got an email from one of my employees, and I forwarded it on to everybody. And I asked for tell me what this means. I got 30 different ideas of what that email meant, literally, because emails can be read in a way that the person's mindset is at that point, the way they read what they want to read. They put their own inflection into the email. So please, emails might be the one way to contact, but it does not replace that human interaction. So what do we got to find out? Well, we got to ask. I mean, do we have members that have some nutrition sustainability issues and concerns? And I'm finding, yeah, we do. The more people I talk to, the more clubs I talk to across our district and others, there's a lot of our members, our senior type members, that are isolated, either quarantined or whatever it is, and they don't have the ability to get out and get their groceries when they need it. And we need to be able to find and build some ways to look after them, right? Some of them, even though we have this going on and the pandemic or the lockdowns happening, a lot of them still need to get to certain appointments, right? Within our club, it's interesting. We've got a member who had a lung transplant, a double lung transplant in January. He's out of the hospital. He's been in bed and breakfast. He's probably coming home this week. But again, he needs to quarantine. He's not able to go out and get things. He has some family in place, but again, he may need some ability to transport and get himself around. That's a good example. Human interaction. The other thing that is a focus here is that whatever we start, it's not a one-off. We can't start it and stop it. Oh, we've made our phone call. Oh, we've got the checklist done. This is about continuing and finding strategies to consistently and constantly engage our members. And the phone's a great way. There's going to be some other digital ways to do it. But the other thing is, and this is a really important one, is that when we talk to our members, encourage them to make a link to somebody else in the club as well. So it's not one person, two people, or the board that is making these calls. It's our members looking after our members. So this is the really important part that I've really found, again, in dialogue with members. Members are needing a purpose every day to be alive and engaged. You know, we've had this call and people chuckle about it, but hey, I don't know about you, but this feels like Groundhog Day, the movie, to me. I get up every morning to the same alarm. I have the same shower. I have brushed my teeth. I have my coffee. I check my emails. I go have my lunch. I go for my walk. I get the paper. I read the paper. I do more emails. I do more work. I go to bed. I get up the next. Anyway, you get the point. And a lot of people are feeling that, and especially if they don't have puzzles to do, they don't have any interaction, and they don't have any social interaction, people are really starting to feel that issue. So we need to be talking to our members, and then when we talk to them, also, let's start that active conversation about what they want to do. Because a lot of our members that have the ability to contribute and volunteer, they're biting at the bullet a bit. They want to be engaged. They're asking in ways they can engage. They're saying, can I do? Can you do? Can we do? Right? Well, let's get that conversation. And as a club, let's get that information collected and figured out and share that with the district and other clubs and different things. We have to be able to also ask and have honest conversation about what can they contribute, how can they contribute, right? Because we all have time, talent, and treasure. We've always used that. A lot of us have way more time now, but you know what? We might not be able to support with our time in the community volunteering. Because a good example is our club, we have a regular commitment at the food bank every week. We could not meet that obligation, or half our members are not allowed to volunteer for that obligation because of their age and their vulnerability. So again, we need to really understand who can do what, where, when, and why. And you know, the treasure thing is in the background, but we need to have that discussion, right? Because people say, where can I, you know, donate? What can I do? We've got some ideas there. Okay, so we need to chat and when can they chat and volunteer? When does it work for them? Why does our club exist? So again, building off our club membership, our club health and our member health, we need to focus on our club relevancy and our club health. Again, it starts at that member health. That's the absolute #1 priority. Members knowing we care about each other, members knowing we're there for each other, members knowing how they can contribute. Absolute #1 priority. Given that, the role of our boards is really to need to focus on ongoing member communication. Let's not lose that. Let's not think we do a one-off or we do our survey and it's done. And this may or may not include online meetings. You know, we had some great dialogue in some of our previous meetings about how we can consolidate and have a district-led or a major club-led kind of online meetings. And that, I think that's an outstanding idea. And you know, Gary, you had a lot of that idea. And we're looking towards getting the downtown club, Calgary Club, with their super duper program. And I know the district's got it as well, to have some of their major speakers online for all of us to share. So again, we're starting to build, as we have these dialogues, we're starting to build these strategies, but they need to come member up. Let's figure this out. Boards and committees focus. It needs to be on ways to get more people engaged. You know, we had lots of dialogue about, you know, Stephen, we heard from Martin earlier that you had one last night where you had a lot of your more board members at that meeting than you've had at some of your other board meetings, because you were able to do it online and get some things happening. Find ways to make it happen. The next part is really, you know, why do people join Rotary? #1, do good in the community, which we got to figure that out, right? And #2 is for fellowship. So we need to find ways to create these small group chat rooms and do different things. And we're going to talk again later about some different ways to do that, or even using some technology. Online games. A lot of our clubs have bridge clubs or different things that they do. My granddaughter challenged me to an online chess game. I thought that was the coolest thing, right? That she and I can still have some social interaction, have some fun, and she can brag about beating her dad, but she hasn't beat me yet, and we can have some fun with that, right? But we can do that with our club. Online parties. You know, Okotoks, and I know there's others now, I'm starting to hear, they had an online wine tasting party. They did a Zoom meeting, and they all got it online, and they all had their bottles of wine. They talked about their wine, and they had some fun and social interaction. And also, the board needs to find ways to reach out to the community. So look, we all know there's a huge need out there right now, but what we need to do is slow down a little bit and not take, and this isn't the time to start something new, but let's reinforce the things that we're doing. Let's assemble the needs. Let's get together with the agencies that our clubs are close to and find out really what their needs are. Start assembling those, sharing those needs, and up to district and other clubs and whatever, so that the more people understand, we can get away from duplicity of the nature of some of these, but maybe making sure we're focused on having a major impact. We know there's going to be a lot of volunteer opportunities, but those are going to become more and more restricted, and the limitations in a lot of our membership won't allow us to do a lot of that, because a lot of our members, as I said earlier, are in a vulnerable sector, and they'll have physical isolation kind of requirements. So we got to be really understanding and clear what we can and can't do. But what if we set up online meetings between our agencies, our boards, and even our members, get them engaged in working with them to really start to understand the need. There's never been a more important time that our motto means something. Service above self. This really is our call to action. This is really our call to show the relevancy of Rotary, the relevancy of our clubs and our members, and the impact we have on the community. This is the time, and I think this is why we're here. This is the reason we exist. So let's focus on solutions, right? Let's find ways to say yes. We've got to stop saying no, and oh my God, we've had all these different things canceled. Oh no, we can't do this, we can't meet, we can't do. We need to find, when our agency needs come to us, we need to build solutions. We may not have the money right now, we may not do different things, but what we should be able to do is, with teams within our club, create chats, create meetings to solve the no, right? To turn it into a yes. And this is how we're going to do it. Financially, a lot of our clubs have surpluses and reserves on their balance sheets, in their operating reserve. I know our club has about a year's worth of operating on our operating sheet. You know what? There's never been a better time to look at those reserves, and this is the rainy day we were looking at. The other thing is that we need to look at other things. So I've made a request to the Calgary Rotary Clubs Foundation to move their payment of the amounts that are due to the clubs in June that they typically do, to move that to right now, to get those disbursements out. They know what the amounts are going to be. They have the cash to be able to do those disbursements. We need to be able to move that forward. So I know it's on a board agenda, and there's some important meetings going to happen. What does that mean? It means to Calgary West that we're probably going to have $40,000 coming in now versus June and getting it into the program. So more to follow on that, right? And we need to change our fundraising focus, because that's usually our no, because we've had to say no to so many of our events. We need to be creative more than we've ever been, right? And the fact is, we're already fatigued with how much we're in our own pockets. So we need to find ways to get a broader investment in this fundraising effort. We need to do creative, different things that we're doing, right? So a good example is on March 17th, as many of you know, we were organizing an Irish party down at Doherty Hall in the Stampede grounds. We had a band coming, we had some Guinness being served, we were going to have a lot of fun with 80 people. Well, guess what? We canceled it. The band didn't want any money from us. The Stampede acquiesced and said, we don't need your money. A lot of the donors said, you keep it. The food was being donated anyway. And at the end of the day, people allowed their ticket prices to stay in the pocket. Some other people donated more. We're going to have that match now by the Shaw Charity Classic. So we're gonna double probably what we were going to raise before. Just turning the lemon into the lemonade, and that's we got to look at a lot of things we're doing. I've put out a bit of a challenge to our club and to Gary and our executive. I've been sending some emails around and talking about this. We have a partnership with Calgary SRC and Art for the Heart. Well, there's no way we're going to have the dinner, and there's no way we're going to have that on that auction. What if we turned the no dinner turn it into a no dinner? We have something online. We move the art auction online, and we use Hall auction items who are doing they were going to do the live auction. They've got an online auction portal that they can use. We've talked to Cisco, who will provide technology and back-end programming for free because we're a nonprofit. We happen to have a member, Gwyn Lewis, who works for them, and that kind of helps. But I bet you, and if we went out to the broader Rotary community, and then we took it even beyond that to whatever charity we decide this is now needs to be because of the new reality we're in, and we send it out to the broader community, we can be able to get people to put a donation in to buy their bid ticket. That donation could go into that wonderful Calgary Foundation portal that Mary was able to set up. We'll talk about in a minute. They could get a tax receipt. We can hold our auction online. And you know what? I'll bet you if we do this properly and we get excited, it doesn't have to be the same date, but we get excited about this and we've really got a defined need, I bet you we can raise more money than we could before. Just a thought. Again, that Calgary Foundation portal, for all those clubs that are trying to do something and do have something in mind that they want to raise some money, hey, set up your Heritage Park portal, set up the Calgary West portal, set up whatever it is. Now, Calgary West, we can give tax receipts, but this is another way to do it. And people can receive a tax receipt, and on we go, and the money can then be directed to the registered causes that we want. Brilliant. Thanks, Mary, for get that set up. So, how do we communicate? Again, let's never lose the personal contact. Every member has different needs, and every member wants to be communicated to differently. And it was Marlene that quite clearly reminded me of this, that she's not as excited about all these meetings on FaceTime and all that. She doesn't need as much face-to-face time as I do. I get energy from all of you. I got energy from Melanie, from your face when I saw the big smile, and right? I need that. Some people in our club don't need it. They do need that personal contact, but ask them how much they want to do and how they want to engage. The other thing is that every member has different ways to communicate. And not every member is going to have the technology that allows them to do a Zoom meeting, for example, right? We were giving Christine a hard time in the previous 6 of these because I thought she was using a flip phone because we couldn't get any picture of her and doing whatever. Look at, she's got an old iPad that came out of, and now we got her, right? But we do have members with flip phones. We do have members without mobile numbers, right? We do have members that have computers that can go online, but they don't have a speaker or a camera, right? Maybe that's some things that we can figure out, tools to help them get onto this, but we got to recognize, so whatever decisions you make as a club, you got to make sure that it fits for people, and those people don't get left out just because they don't have the technology. So that phone, that's always going to work. So what are the tools that are available? Some of you are already using it. You know, Cochrane, you're using the Zoom, whatever, the license. Now, there are licenses. If you work through Charlene at the district, My recommendation is every club gets their own Zoom license with their own administrators. And we have, because of the Rotary discount and the way this is working, Charlene can get you hooked up at $15 per administrator per month. So you could probably have two. So I see there's some chats happening. We can get that going. So this is less expensive than if you tried to go on to zoom.us and buy your own license. The other exciting thing is every member, if we do the right training, can download a free version of Zoom. A free version. Gives them the ability to set up meetings, to do Zoom meetings and talk to whomever they want to talk to. So this could even be with their family. It can be with whomever. Right now, there are some limitations in that there is 40 minutes on that license. And we thought that there's no way they could track that until we lost Mary on one of Martin Parnell's calls because he's got that freebie license. So, but 40 minutes of free FaceTime, wow, I think that's an amazing way to go. GoToMeetings, that's an older version of kind of a Zoom program. I've moved away from it business-wise. We've got, it is an opportunity. There is free opportunities, and I'd suggest if you're not comfortable with Zoom or these others, to look at it. Facebook Live, a lot of us have Facebook pages. We can have a Facebook Live program. You can have a meeting on Facebook Live where we've got a presenter and whatever. Lots of really cool things to do, and it can be interactive as well while you're online with your members. Google Hangout is another one that I'm aware of. I haven't really checked it out as much as I could yet, but Microsoft Teams is the one I'm using internally at my business. It's an amazing product that, again, is free for Rotary, and members can download a Microsoft Teams app onto their phones or their laptops and computers, and each club needs to set up their own domain. I don't know all the techie stuff. We're going to get some instructions out to everybody. But what I love about it is that basically what it does is it creates the opportunity. I don't have mine set up open right now. But what it does is it allows, I have it for all my staff. So you have your own little chats, like you have your own little texts going on. You don't have to go to your phone and text somebody. You can text them right in these conversations. You can group people into various conversations. You can have live kind of presentations just like this where you see each other's faces. I'm using that every morning to talk to my administration team, my marketing and sales team, to my logistics team. We get together for 10, 15 minutes, check on how each other's doing, check on what any speed bumps we've got, check on how we're doing on different things. I really, it's a tool that I think we need to look at. So in closing, and now we're going to go into some conversation, but I just want to say this is kind of my philosophy, and a lot of you see it before from me. It's a quote from Gandhi. The difference between what we do and what we're capable of could solve most of the problems in the world. So switch that a little bit. The difference between what we do and what we are capable of could solve a lot of what's happening in our community, our membership, our district, help all of us get through this. So that's my challenge. None of us accepted, volunteered to have this challenge hit us, but guess what? There we are. So at this point, I'm going to stop the sharing. I'm going to go to turn my video on, and people can turn their videos on. And I'm going to go through kind of everybody's thing here. I don't see, I'm not seeing a lot of on the chat. Just the only one I see is Charlene's on the 15 per month. So why don't we start, Stephen? Let's go with you. Give us a little.
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks to you and Christine and Mary and Martin and Charlene for pulling these sessions together and being proactive. I gave the same shout out to Alex Baum, our president, who organized last night's extraordinary meeting of the board. And of course, we did it on Zoom. I have the good fortune to have that, the professional version of that for my company. And that's what we're using. I do not know what Martin has shared already from yesterday's meeting, but just a few of the highlights. I think first and foremost, it didn't help that we were coming off of being gone ourselves for almost a month. So we were out of Rotary for that period of time, but it felt really, really good to connect with everybody. And I think that was the general feeling amongst the board members, is that it felt good to converse and to talk and to focus in on some positive energy around what we could be doing, and not just watching, CNN and bemoaning the current state of affairs. So I think that was positive. We did make the decision that we will hold our first Zoom club meeting on April 7th. So we are in the process of getting that communication out. The individual in our club who's responsible for our newsletter, Anita, is a pharmacist, and they're overrun. And so as a result, she's just not been able to get the newsletter out. So Cindy Baum, Alex's wife, has graciously stepped forward and is going to ensure that we get weekly communication out. And that has been a little missing in the club. So we'll get that out. We'll hold our first Zoom meeting. I had a discussion with Ryan Baum, Alex's son, who is also our chair of our new Young Professionals Rotary Club of Cochrane. And we are going to hold the induction on the 31st of March as planned, but we're going to do it via Zoom. And we will get the induction packages individually labeled to all of the, what looks like now will probably be 21 inductions during that Zoom call. So that's pretty fantastic. And we didn't want to lose momentum. We thought of canceling it, but we said, nope, there's a whole group of young people here in our community. The sole driver for them wanting to be a part of what we're doing is to give back to their community and for the conviviality and the camaraderie that exists in that group. So
that is such awesome news. And that's one that we got to share that out, because they're the perfect group right now to help us in our response. So
absolutely.
Stephen, awesome job.
We're full steam ahead. We did talk about certain events, our big golf tournament. We talked about canceling that, but maybe doing something with the golf course where people could come out and still have some fun in golf, but not put the pressure on fundraising and those types of things, just because we know the businesses in our community are going to suffer, depending on the breadth and the length and the scope of this pandemic. I mean, we could see businesses go down. So we want to be very, very respectful and cognizant of that. And so we're going to have further conversation, but we certainly did talk about very much altering, which is one of our biggest fundraisers.
I'm going to just give you a little tidbit. As Stephen knows, and some of you know, I have my foundation with some friends, and we have a golf tournament every year that we've historically raised $250,000. Our highest was $320,000 in a one-day tournament. It's scheduled for June, the first Monday in June right now. And we had a board meeting this morning discussing turning it into a no golf tournament. The golf course may let us golf, but there would be no social interaction things anyway. And we've reached out to our major sponsors and to all of my founding partners. And we are having a discussion that we're going to leave sponsorship cash in. We're going to leave all of our golf fees in and have an online auction for some of the items that have been donated. And we feel that we're going to be able to raise the $250,000 again without golfing. So again, we need to be proactive in it and thinking about it. But everybody that is involved in these kinds of things are thinking about the community. So with yours, it's cold. It's cold in October anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So we're going to talk about it further, and we're going to try to balance all of the practicalities of what's in front of us. So there's no decision on that. But overall, we had a good meeting, and one idea that we did talk about for our eldest member, our Earl Boone, who is 82. Is that right, Martin? Yeah, 82. And his wife, Heather, is in Bethany Care Home in Cochrane, and she has severe Alzheimer's. And so she does not necessarily, I think she's past the point where she knows whether Earl is there or not. But for Earl, it's a huge part of his life to go and visit with her every day. And of course, he is banned from going.
Yeah.
So one of our members, his wife, works at Bethany. And so we are going to figure out how to set up a Skype situation so that Earl can at least visit with her. She might not know what's happening, but it will be very, very good for Earl.
Isn't
And
that awesome? What a great
there's
solution.
some of the things
Wow.
we talked about during our meeting that could make a difference for some of our members.
Wow, that I'd love to hear that. Well, that's a great idea that we need to share actually as well. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay. I think, Martin, unless I've missed something paramount, we're good? Okay, we're good. So,
Yeah, you're good, Stephen. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant.
thank you.
I wouldn't go brilliant.
Come on. No, my head's looking thinner. Can you not tell? I need it to grow a little.
Okay,
Well,
not bad.
it's starting to
Not
fill
bad.
the window there. No,
Yeah, not bad, Stephen. Not bad.
not bad.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that mediocre response.
If we can't continue our banter like we normally have, I don't.
No, something would feel very off. No, it's good.
There we go. Mr. Cooper, Bill, what's happening down in Medicine Hat?
You know, I just got back on the 16th of March from being down south for, well, it would have been 2.5 months. So I've been to the board meeting via FaceTime. We had to cancel our meetings where we meet, obviously. And what Claire's been doing is sending emails out regularly, bringing good news to us, what's happening, what's going on in the club. So we were able to, he had a granddaughter on the weekend, which he lives in Edmonton, which is a little too bad because he can't go there to say hi.
Yeah.
But it's their first grandchild, so that's great news. And he's sharing that. Plus, we did get a district grant for our Ride the Road to Reading, which is really good. It's one of our premier fund events that we do with the library here in Medicine Hat.
Okay.
So we're just keeping on top of each other, just staying in touch. We've got an e-bike raffle, and we're just trying to figure out the best way to do that, given that we'll probably be, not meeting that, at shopping centers or malls or wherever you would normally sell the tickets. So we're just starting to work through that, how we're going to e-transfer the money with people and maybe send them a photo of their ticket stub, something like that. So just some ideas that we're kicking around.
Super. As you get those ideas, I want you to share them, right? We want to share whatever we're doing. That's the key with all our clubs. I want you to share. We'll get the information to Charlene, which will get it to Christine and Martin, Mary, and myself, so that we can help you and work with you if you've got some ideas that you want to work around. Okay.
Perfect.
Well,
Thanks.
Thanks a ton. I'm really excited. I'm going to, Melanie, I want to go to you, but I just see at the bottom of the screen, Beulah from Swift Current. Is that really you, Beulah?
Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm on mute. Yeah, it's me.
That's awesome. Here we are from Swift Current. That is great. Unmute yourself. And can you update us a little bit about what's going on down there? Oh, we're back muted. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, back on mute.
Can you hear me? No?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can now.
Okay, thank you. I've got another member with me, Iola Anderson, a new member. She started last year. And
You have to speak or go closer to your mic, Beulah. We can't hear you.
Okay. That's a video.
Well, okay, I think, well, there's the video. Okay, get closer to the speaker.
Yeah.
There.
You know,
No, it's not picking you up, Beulah, very well.
it's not. Okay. No. No. Okay. I don't know. Right.
Boy, for a university prof, are you guys using the computers to teach now too?
So Beulah, it's Stephen. If you go to the mute button, right beside it, there's an up arrow.
Yeah.
Click on the up arrow, and in there you'll see right at the bottom of a list, it'll say audio settings.
Thank you.
Click on audio settings and turn the
Yeah.
mic input volume up. It might be set on automatic. Unclick the radio button that says automatically adjust and just raise the volume.
Audio. Yeah. Automatically adjust.
Yeah, so unclick that so it's not highlighted. It'll
Yeah.
be blue, but get rid of the blue and now manually turn it up.
Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. All these years I haven't known this.
Okay, turn it right up. Turn it right up because you guys are far from the mic.
Yeah, we are on max though.
Okay,
We are
it's
on
better.
max.
It's better.
Better?
It's better
Also
now,
that.
yeah.
Okay, now I've lost you.
No, we're there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just
All
go
right,
ahead and
so-
speak now.
Okay, so what? We haven't really done.
I don't understand it.
Okay, Beulah, I don't think this is gonna work. So I think what we need you to do is, can you maybe, in the chat room, can you
Yeah, I can.
put some points into the chat room? And
I
then,
will, but
Okay.
the microphone is not working very well. Yeah,
there we go.
Now it is.
That's
is it
better.
working now? Because I'm close to the microphone.
Yeah, there you
laptop
go.
now.
Yeah,
Okay,
just do that.
In Swift Current, we haven't done much, but listening to what all is being done, what you said in your presentation, it's really sparking ideas in my head because we are in the, we also for work and everything, we're a little overwhelmed with all these things that we have to do when work from home. So we're just doing that adjustment so much, didn't think of it. But the Zoom presentation has been really worthwhile. Iola and I, our fellow member, we both live in the same building. So we are able to connect with each other, and that has been really good. And so we are keeping connected, but we need to do it more with the other members. But I got some very neat ideas, what you all are doing, and we can start from there. Thank you very much. We have not done much. We've canceled our Lobster Fest. We've done a lot of cancellation, but we haven't thought of an alternate way of presenting. Like I heard that how some of you are doing an art auction. This is such a neat idea. Maybe we can do an online auction, something like that. So this has been very, very valuable. Would you say that, Iola? Come
Yes, sir. Yes, it's all good information.
Terrific. And it's so good to see you as part of it and included in here because that's the key. We all need to stay connected. And I know always out in Swift Current, we always feel a little bit out in the hinterland. So just know we're here to support you when you need it, okay? And let's keep the dialogue happening. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Okay. How about Mel? Let's move on. Unmute yourself.
You're muted, Mel.
There we go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. kind of like Beulah in the sense that we haven't been doing too terribly much yet. However, we did have a meeting last Wednesday, a Zoom meeting. Charlene set that up for us. And there were only about 8 of us, but I mean, at least it gave us that preliminary opportunity to check in on each other and keep that connection. And as soon as we were done that online meeting, I emailed all of our members and basically just said, you know what, we had a great talk. It was good to see and hear from each other. So please join us next meeting, which is actually going to be tomorrow at noon. So hopefully we'll get some more people involved. So that's number 1. So that'll be 2 of our meetings so far via Zoom. We have also been, the people that were on that meeting, we talked about who we thought might need help right away in our club, people that were coming home from different places and would be in self-isolation, and people that we just knew had underlying health conditions. And we sort of divvied up who should call each member. And so we've taken care of that as well. But I appreciate the fact that we do need to get on the phone and not just email and contact people regularly. So we'll definitely keep that going. And we are due for another board meeting. Our next board meeting, we had sort of earmarked April 8th. So I'm going to email my board and get that set up for a Zoom meeting to get that done. And, I think that's probably when we'll try to do some brainstorming and come up with some of these positive ideas about things to do going forward, because we're not quite at that stage yet, but we need to, because otherwise we'll just sort of sputter out, and we'll just kind of we'll not be doing anything, right? So
Great, awesome job. And on the Zoom license, think about talking to Charlene and moving, getting something happening there. Okay.
Right.
Wonderful.
Dan, I just wanted to add on Zoom, when you get the license, you will then be able to gain access to their website and all of their tutorials, and they have a ton of them. It's one of the easiest platforms to use, so don't be afraid of it, because it's pretty easy to interact with.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Stephen, if you've become an expert, what I'm wondering, and again, this is noodling around, maybe we do need to do a kind of a little Zoom presentation to the district.
I would certainly have to bone up on my expertise if that's what you would like me to do, because I use it in a pretty limited way. But
well, you know about a button I didn't know about. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Paul, how are we doing? No curling. Better unmute yourself. Whoop.
There we go. There
we go.
Coming across loud and clear.
We're coming across.
Good. We've canceled our club meetings. Our first Zoom club meeting is tomorrow morning. The only other thing, we have a lot to cover as well. The one thing I would add that was put in place prior to when I joined, our club has a buddy list. We've divided up our membership so that every person is connected to 2 others. And the idea was for something exactly like this, stay in touch with your buddy and make sure that there's nothing that they need.
Is that why Bill asked me if I'd be his buddy?
That could be it, Dan. Could just be that he wants to be your friend. But I'm taking more away from this than I'm providing today. I'm looking forward to our club meeting tomorrow and talking through some ideas.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Gwen, need you to unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry, I had to turn down the volume. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm just in here listening and learning. I am just sort of trying to catch up. Our co-president is in the heat of the thick of the things with the COVID-19. And so I'm just listening and learning and taking back some ideas to our club membership. Our meeting place has been shut down. So we really do have to go onto the Zoom format. We do have a lot of vulnerable sector in our club. However, most are, literate in the Zoom ideas, so we think we can get that to fly. And we sort of taken a hiatus because everybody's work and other things have gotten in the way of getting on the train for the meetings, I think. From the executive point of view, a few of us had to self-isolate. So we're back because it's been 14 days, or for some of us, 10 days for some of us, and some of us are out of self-isolation. So away we go.
Perfect. Okay, that's good to hear that you're looking to get and go. That's the key. And I think really right now, the primary focus, if there's nothing else, it's that contact with all your members and just get a really good understanding. So if I could challenge you and your board to do that to start with, and then all the other stuff will flow out, I'm sure.
Yes, let's hope, eh?
Great. Well, Pygmalion effect. We're going to make happen what we want to make happen. And so
Exactly.
I want to make happen that we're going to come out here more resilient, and we're going to be more impactful in our community than we've ever been. So that's kind of that I have in my head.
Well, that's what I was doing before I came on here. I'm talking to one of my students, and it's a challenge because she's locked in her country and can't come home. So you keep on. Let's keep being positive and keep it going.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to give some positive news. Some of you might have heard, but just earlier today, my daughter, who's a teacher, who's being tested because of the contact with a student, she got her negative result this morning. So there's just great weight lifted off of our family and whatever. So there are some good stories amongst all of the things that are happening. So Mr. Meek, I've had you on mute now for a while. So, because you've been to another one of these. So do you have anything else to add, or what would we like? You got to unmute yourself.
You're muted.
You're muted, Gary. There we go.
There. I know you're enjoying that, Dan, muting me.
I love that, actually.
I wish I could do you, Dan, again, thank you. And thank you to everybody else for their comments. It's important to share. One of the things, Dan, you asked is, how do we communicate? And it's a variety of tools that are there. It seems to me it's also an important opportunity to accelerate our clubs and our club members into a digital world and look at new ways of doing business and new ways of communicating and developing partnerships with prospective organizations. So that's a piece there. But I think it's also important to, as much as how we communicate, it's what we communicate. It really is the tone of where it is. It needs to be highly selective, relevant, and timely, as we're going at this piece of it. And no two members are perhaps going to have the same needs. You've indicated, Dan, our club, I would say 2/3 of it is in this risk category. Many are not familiar with the technological environment or need some help to deal with that piece of it. And many are dealing with some health issues that sort of go through this. So it's a challenge. We have got some phone trees that are working its way through the club. I should tell you, in a couple of cases, people said, I really don't need any contact right now. I've got a lot of stuff coming at me. Others are quite appreciative. And I've sort of started with those most at risk to go ahead with it. I'm sort of personally feeling, how do you move from an environment where you're swatting flies, everything's coming around you, to purposeful action and putting in place sustainable planks that will carry us forward for a while into the future. And how do we harness and capture and channel the tremendous creativity of Rotarians, our club members, and other pieces of it? There's lots of ideas that are floating forward. How do you prioritize and manage and set up what might be helpful for here? And I think it's important that, sort of as we have our vision, as we look at this, it needs to be certainly bifocal and perhaps multifocal. When I mean bifocal, it's what are the immediate things we have to do today? What do we have to do over the next month?
And we also need to put in place, so as we begin to emerge from this, where does Rotary position itself in some of the opportunity that's coming and some of the creativity it's going to have to apply in a changed environment. So that's kind of important to me. We're meeting with Zoom as a club meeting, I think it's next week. We're setting up with the board and all of the committee chairs. We have teams within our club that are communicating with the members of it and seeing where it will be. We're also reviewing as a club, how do we inject fun into the current environment in different ways? And recognizing that many of our members may be in some financial difficulty coming out of this, we're also reviewing the upcoming dues for the coming year. And are there options or opportunities here to be of assistance to club members in a way that they would appreciate and go forward? As I was listening to our conversation, I also got an email, which is probably generally out there now, that casinos are canceled now until the end of June. So if you had one coming up, I don't know what that means in terms of, will it just push the queue back? Will it put you in another direction? But to the end of June, casinos are off the table in Alberta. Key funding source, how you're budgeting stuff to go through that. I appreciate the chance to be able to dialogue and to talk. I think it can be tremendously energizing to go forward here, but I don't think we can do everything at once. I think we have to be selective, and I have to look at impact to see where these are going to take us forward. And in some cases, some things may not work, but by sharing, we can probably get the best approaches that are out there. And this is a great opportunity. I think I mentioned, and I heard this the other day, to work as a larger single club. What are the connections that can come through? What are the resources we can put on the table? What are the tools we can share? And if we only have to invent once rather than duplicating, it's sure going to be of help. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thanks, Gary. And I just want to comment. I mean, you're right. We can't solve everything, and we need to set some of those bifocal kind of look at what we're doing for sure. And the first focus, the short-term focus, needs to be our members. It needs to be working with them, understanding their needs. And I think a lot of the other stuff will flow out of that. But if we don't make sure our members feel engaged and important, it doesn't matter. So thank you very much. Very insightful kind of comments. Ria, would you like to add any more today, this meeting? Got to turn yourself on. Got to unmute.
Unmute. Okay. Yeah, that's it, right? You can hear me?
That's it. We can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Just for the group that are on now, I was one of the people on at 10 this morning that was emotionally distraught. And my Rotary family is very important to me. So that's why I came on, even though I looked like a wreck. Anyway, but the things that I picked up from that are very much like it's been reinforced again. It's all about our members first. And although there were several of us on from Chinook this morning, I don't think a lot of people realize, but in the last week, 10 days, we've had one of our club members die. Wonderful man by the name of David Irwin. He's been a Rotarian for over 20 some years. He's had several leadership positions in different communities in Calgary. And then we've had several of our members and spouses have major surgery. So we just canceled everything. We just canceled everything. But the good news is that because again of who those of us are that can reach out, we have two systems of contact. We have one that's for everybody from one of our members, Bart Daly, who is a pastor, and he's reaching out to everybody. And then we, as a board, we took and divided up the membership, and we each have 4 or 5 that we actually make the phone call, and we'll have that personal connection. But what got added for me today was to find out what they need, because we are the oldest club in the district.
You are.
And all good stuff. That means we have wisdom, right?
Lots of wisdom.
The other thing that happened today, and it's all because it's been part of our planning, is I just, Stephen Pick and his wife Ann, they have published this printed arch and put it on our website, but now it's an newsletter. And so there's a 6 or 7 page email going out to everybody. And most of our club have email, but he's given them the ability to report on the committees, on all the things that are happening, our fundraising, so that our members are always up to date with just the click of an email. So it's a wonderful publication. I'm just so proud of them. It's just wonderful. But anyway, the thing that really hit me today too, in hearing about, and you'll share more of that in a minute, I know, but we are known for our civil leadership, and that's what this is all about. And one of the things that I had thought of after I was on this morning is, you know, that wonderful survey that you did, Dan, through the university as to why people leave Rotary. I think it's time now, once we know what we need from people, to go back and reach out to that list. Because there are people that have Rotary hearts, and they didn't leave because they didn't have a Rotary heart any longer. They left often because of structure and things that just was.
You know, I think that that's an amazing reminder that we do have a number of people in our Rotary family that aren't on our current roster.
Yeah.
And whether they're the people who are honorary members who are really we haven't seen in a while, or spouses of members that we've lost, or whatever it is, I think that what a wonderful reminder that we should be reaching out to them as well as our own members.
Well, I know, as I say, I know there's some initiatives coming that'll get talked about, and if it's manpower, I think the manpower is there.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. That's all I have to say today.
That was inspirational. Thank you so much, Rhea. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's why we're having these meetings. That's wonderful.
That's right. Thank you.
Mary, you want to kind of update us on what you've been working on?
Thanks, Dan. And Rhea, I think that, you know, I think you've hit on a goldmine idea, because we have so many former Rotarians who are looking for that opportunity to reconnect, and service is what it's all about. So what a better opportunity than to reconnect with these folks, right?
Yep.
Dan?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share about something that has recently come into our world, and an opportunity for Rotary in our district and the district to the north of us in 5370. As many of you know, my husband's very involved in Alberta Health Services, and Steve has been working with some senior leaders in Alberta Health Services, and they are looking for civic leadership in our towns and cities to help them with transitioning patients that are ill with COVID-19 or are having to isolate in their homes, to help them with the various needs that they're going to be faced with, be it grocery delivery, or when the snow melts, the grass needs to be cut, or any kind of help that they may need. I did have a telephone or a meeting this morning with senior leaders from Alberta Health Services, and they are becoming very well aware of what Rotary can do. They're impressed with our organization. They're impressed with our police checks, with our vulnerable sector checks that we require of our Rotarians when they're involved in various service projects. And they're excited to have us as part of the team that will roll out volunteer support for those who are needing support through this COVID-19 crisis. As I mentioned earlier, you know, they're looking at the peak of this thing being the second week of May. They're looking at up to 2,500 new hospital admissions that second week of May. So this is just the warm up, guys. This is not the situation yet. We're just in a warm-up mode. So we're still gathering information to figure out how to help people that are so desperately going to need it when things escalate in our area and in our province. So bottom line is we are now well connected with Alberta Health Services. I'm gonna be involved in a task force, and we're gonna be working together to see how we can engage Rotarians across our districts and across our province to help with this need. Granted that many of our Rotarians are vulnerable themselves. They won't be frontline volunteers, but I guarantee that there'll be an opportunity for everyone to serve in some capacity. So stay tuned, and thank you for all your support, and thank you for your involvement. Your ideas are amazing. We need to come up with a plan of how to capture these ideas and share them with each other. I think that's going to be something that we need to do, because there's so many great ideas coming from people across our district. We just need to capture them somehow and share them. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, Gary, you've raised your hand, but
I wonder, thank you, Mary, for that. What about the idea of a Rotary action volunteer or volunteer action corps that could be set up on a district level? That could have some profile, it could have some dimension to it. It certainly would show a leadership role for Rotary, and it does underline the notion of service as Rotarians.
Awesome, great idea.
Are you thinking of like a database kind of a thing, Jerry? Or what do you think?
I think, Mary, it could take different forms. I just like the notion of volunteerism and service in Rotary, and I'm trying to package that into a volunteer action corps. That could provide a number of services that are through there. Some of it could be support. Some of it could be actually recruitment of volunteers. We're pretty good at it, and we're very creative as an organization in terms of approaching problems.
So let me say that I think what we've got to do is continue to follow along on what our path. Let's get our membership. We need to reach to all our memberships. Let's start assembling that information. Gary, that's an awesome idea. I like it. To assemble what would our volunteer corps look like. And then as we build that, then we can actually get, and we're also understanding what the community needs are, we can start to marry them. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Thank you.
So we're 10 minutes over where we should be right now. Martin, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, just one thing. Over the last 2 days, it's been amazing, meeting all the members from right across the district. I just want to leave one thought, and it ties in right back to the beginning, is leave no member behind, and previous members. I really like what Ria said. They're members in their heart. And so, again, this is a golden opportunity, not only to touch base through the phone, especially the phone or other ways, but also it's not just one phone call. We need to keep touch with people on an ongoing basis and bring everybody along with us. And I think with that, we're only going to be a lot stronger.
Awesome.
Dan, if I may, just one of the underlying whys behind staying engaged and doing things is that much of what's happening from a pandemic perspective is happening to us. It's beyond our control. And so when that happens, we feel lost. We feel like what's our purpose? What are we doing? And the longer we stay in a shut-in environment in our homes, the more that is likely to increase.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the more we can have a purpose and plans and goals and actions as human beings, the more control we will feel in our life. And I think that's a really important dynamic behind why it's so important that Rotary continue to be at the forefront for all Rotarians at least.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Christine, do you want to quickly close? You unmute yourself.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Hi, thanks. Playing with my new old tablet. Yes, Mary, this is fantastic about the connections with Alberta Health Services and the leadership shown there by yourself and getting that together. We're also having, I've been getting lots of emails from different groups. At the University of Calgary, the Director of Health Equity, Local and Global Care, Bonnie Larson, has been reaching out to Rotary because of the homeless situation, and not just Calgary, across our district. There's lots of homeless people, and the situation for them is such a higher risk because of this. The social distancing isn't what we would expect, what we would hope. It's really quite bad. I was looking at the drop-in center last night from my place, and they're all crowded together around the door waiting to go in. There's no separation whatsoever. And that is of great concern about the spread of COVID-19. So more on that to follow. They're looking at a needs list. They're working with government agencies, government as well. And there's other foundations in our communities that now have urgent requirement lists or agencies within agencies, like for example, Calvary Foundation has a list of 60-something agencies that require funding and help. I checked out Lethbridge has a similar list, as does Red Deer. So there's, out in our communities right now, there's asks out there already. I love the idea of a volunteer hub. I think that's something that we could actually get set up on our district website. Just have that emergency volunteers, or whatever we're going to call it, on a button right on the front page, and then just that's where we'll start feeding these opportunities. So let's work on that. So thank you, Dan. Thank you everyone for joining us again today. This has been so productive that we are getting some really great ideas. Let's keep all those ideas coming. All these sessions are recorded, so all the ideas have been captured. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for participating, and stay healthy and well.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.